Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us today at Malvern College for the sixth form information webinar. And we very much hope that you find this session helpful in discovering more about the school and whether or not we might be a good fit for your son or daughter as they think about those last 2 important years of school. My name is Anna Louise McQuilkin. I'm the head of admissions at Malvern, and my team work very hard with families and with candidates to make sure that the process is as smooth as possible. So today you've joined us on Zoom, and we'd be very happy to hear from you if you have any questions throughout the session. And we'd be very pleased if you could submit your questions using the Q&A button function, which is the double speech bubble on your Zoom screen. We'll try to answer as many questions as possible at the end of the session. We are recording today's session, so you can go back and rewatch it if you wish, and also to share with any families who were unable to join us today. We are joined in the background today by Mr. George Stringer, the Digital Marketing Manager, who is helping us with all the technical side of things. Over the course of today's session, we will hear from the headmaster, 2 of our current pupils, Leopold and Sophie, Mrs. Fiona Packham, who's the house mistress at number 3, and Mr. David Reid, who is the head of sixth form here at Malvern College. So I'll just hand over now to Mr. Mecca to welcome everyone to today's event. Thank you very much.
Welcome, and I'm sorry that it is online in some ways, but it's great to see you in this case, in this opportunity. But do come and see us in person as soon as you get the chance. Schools like Malvern are all about the people, and those relationships with parents and with pupils are really our focus. And I think hopefully you'll see today just how important it is that that relationship starts as soon as it possibly can. And I'm very lucky that I've got Sophie and Leopold who are about to join me. And if they are happy to turn on their screens and unmute themselves, I thought best to start with actually hearing from some of our pupils. And so I'm going to ask them some questions, tell us like it is from their point of view. They're going to have a chance, I think, later on to grill me. So I must be polite and kind. So Sophie and Leopold. First of all, maybe a quick introduction. Tell us a little bit sort of which year group you're in, what subjects you're studying, and something like that, just to give us a sense of who you are would be a really good start. So Sophie?
Okay, so hi guys, I'm Sophie. I'm in house 3, so Mrs. Packham is my house mistress. I'm a day pupil and I do the IB course. My subjects are physics, maths and economics as my higher levels, and French, English and philosophy as my standards.
Great. And Leopold?
Hi, I'm Leopold. I'm a boarder in number 5 and I'm an international pupil. I also do the IB Diploma, and my high level subjects are Latin, maths and German A, and standard level subjects are physics, economics and English literature.
Okay, so I know that Mr. Reid is going to talk to us a little bit later on about the A-levels and IBs and go into some of the details. So I'm going to stick to some of the wider aspects of it. So Leopold, I'm going to start with you then. You've got specific choices of your subjects. They're quite varied. What are we doing, or how is Malvern helping you outside of that through the super curriculum? Are there any societies you've been involved in, any extra things you're doing to help expand your understanding and skills?
There are loads of societies offered at Malvern College, such as the Wheeler Bennett Society, Politics and Foreign Affairs Society, Debating Society. We've got a whole range of academic society. We're going to stretch the breadth of academic knowledge everyone has. And for example, I'm president of the Wheeler Bennett Society, and it's just a great thing to be in a leadership position and help pupils prepare talks. And so I'm involved there. And there are loads of opportunities to get involved in the super curriculum, which are just great.
Yeah, good. And Sophie, I think, am I right in thinking you presented at the Wheeler Bennett Society last term? Is that right?
Yeah, so last term, we usually have 2 meetings a term, and in each meeting we have 2 talks. So I was one of the speakers in the second meeting of last term, and I'm looking to apply for engineering at university. So I did my talk on aeronautical engineering and biomimicry, which was quite interesting. But it's a really, really good opportunity to sort of challenge yourself. Certainly, you know, Wheeler Bennett specifically is really good for a public speaking opportunity, but other extracurriculars wise, there's literally anything you could want. And there's, you know, I do engineering society as well as the Wheeler Bennett and lots of other things as well. So
what would you say was the one thing, go back to the Wheeler Bennett, so it's a cross curricular, so there's lots of other students and staff. I know this because I was there both in person but also online. They're throwing questions at you from all angles. What was probably the biggest I don't know, thing you learned from doing that? Was it about the subject? Was it about the presentation skills? Was it about answering questions? What was the thing that helped you or inspired you the most?
I think the sort of public speaking aspect, because in terms of the subject knowledge, that wasn't necessarily the most challenging part for me, but definitely the public speaking was really, really hard. I found just being, you know, sat in front of almost a whole year group and quite a few members of staff and just being told to sound like you're an authority on a subject is quite a challenge. And the questions as well, on top of that, as you said, you get 20 minutes to talk and then 20 minutes of questions. So it's just as much spontaneous thinking required of you, which is also a massive challenge. But it was really, really, you know, enlightening and a good opportunity to challenge myself and progress in that aspect. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we should just say this is not forced upon you. You chose to do.
No, absolutely not. Definitely completely voluntary. Yeah, it's really good, that aspect of it as well, because you can choose whenever you want to do it. You can pick the date that you do it. We sort of, as a committee, we discussed when who wants to do it and who wants to do what they want to talk about, and yeah, it's completely voluntary. So.
And as Leopold was saying, it's very much student pupil led. So there's those opportunities. Tell me about, we talk a lot as a school about our CCAs, our co-curricular activities. And we are trying to be intentional in giving pupils opportunities to learn skills, like you said about public speaking, to make sure that you're learning those skills for later in life. What CCAs do you do? And what are particularly the things that you've developed out of those? Is it leadership or other skills? Sophie, let's start with you on this one.
Okay, so CCAs, I think the big one for me is the college CCF, so the Combined Cadet Force, and I've been in that since the remove, and I really, really love it. I really enjoy it. You saw a bit of it in the video, but that specifically leadership wise is fantastic. You get, you know, straight away as soon as you join, you get opportunities to lead, because within your sections, you know, even the year 10s will have someone appointed to be the head of section, but in sixth form it's, you know, especially good because the lower sixth and upper sixth instructs the junior years on, you know, anything from weapon handling to section attacks and things like that, between patrols and harbour occupations and things like that. And yeah, leadership wise, there's also position appointments, which they got announced at the beginning of this term, and I've got appointed the head of the army section. So that, in terms of just the opportunity to really learn how to lead, is really, really helpful.
Yeah, good.
And then sporting as well was the other one.
Go on, tell me about the sport.
Sorry. Just sports would be the other main CCA for me, just CCF and sports, but hockey, netball, cricket, and then that's just mine, and that literally just scratches the surface. There's so much available, and any sport you could want is on offer here, I think. But yeah, sorry, over to Leopold.
That's okay. So Leopold, tell me, we do a lot of house stuff. We're going to hear from one of our Housams later on, but the Housams give you another opportunity to maybe try some of the things you wouldn't normally choose. Are there things you've done for the house over the last year that's pushed you out of your comfort zone, made you do other things, or things you're going to do in the next term or two?
Yeah, definitely. To be fair, last weekend, where I ran for the house in cross country. Normally I played tennis and golf. And so this is kind of a very different sport for me. It was also a great opportunity, like run for the house, represent the house, and challenge myself, because it was something completely different, and I tried it and it was great. It was good fun and it was challenging, yeah.
And I think house singing is coming up soon. Are you a good singer? Are you going to be in the house singing team?
I'm going to be in the house singing team. I'm not the best singer, but everyone's involved, and it's also always good fun. So it's always like about the community and singing together, having fun, and also when you're on stage there, you're together as a team, as a group, and supporting each other. So I think that's also a really good aspect about house life.
Good, and that leads me on to my next question, just about what one of our Malvern qualities is risk taking, linked to things like resilience and taking on challenges and that, and you know, we want our pupils to have the skills to overcome challenges, and you kind of sometimes only gain those by taking them on in the first place to learn about them. What would you say, Leopold, has been your biggest challenge or adventure that you've taken on since joining the college?
My biggest adventure or challenge, I feel because of the constant support, that every challenge is like, it's still a challenge, but because of the constant support, people always help you. So the challenge is not, it's still a challenge, but it's not that big because you've always got people around you who are going to support you. But I think the biggest challenge was probably just taking over like leadership positions in the school, or like being a peer mentor and helping other people, and like listening to people. I feel like that's a great thing. But otherwise, I feel like because of the constant support, you can take risks at Malvern any time. And with all of the opportunities on offer, for me, it's a place to be.
Good. And Sophie, what about you?
There's definitely one example that's I would describe as the biggest challenge I've had here at Malvern, which it was in Remove. You guys might have heard of it because I think it was in the news quite a lot. But the Malvern does this thing called Lost, where they drop a pair of year 10s from each house 50 kilometers away from school, having like blindfolds on them in the car, and then they have to make that with a member of staff, just to be clear, and then they have to make their own way back to school, just off, you know, instincts and help from members of public, and that was really a challenge for me. I think going into it, I had no idea, you know, what sort of skills it would require, but it was really, really fun. And they did basically in summer this term, they were going to do a similar thing for the lower sixth as well. So hopefully, for the pupils that would be new in the new sixth form would also get this opportunity. But Hunted was going to be the sixth form equivalent, so they were going to do letting us run away on the hills and then basically try and escape the staff. So that's the two sort of you know, really, really fun things that I was going to do Hunted, but it got cancelled for our year, but I hope it will be back on. But Lost in the Remove is, yeah, a big opportunity for challenge, I would say. Yeah, it was really, really good fun.
Great. And I should just say we do carefully risk assess all of these things and make sure there's appropriate adult supervision, but it is important to give people's opportunities to stretch themselves. Right, last one from me before I hand over. Quick one. Everybody can remember the teacher who has inspired them or supported them the most. I can remember mine from school. Is there anybody at the moment who sticks in your mind, Sophie, as the person who really has inspired you or just helped make you who you are so far? I mean, you've still got most of a year to go, but at the moment, so far.
I'd have to say my tutor, Miss Brighton, for that one. She's really amazing, and I've had her as an English teacher since year 10. So, and then because we get to choose our tutors in sixth form, I asked for her as a tutor, and she's just her support is just amazing, and she's so you know, good at helping with any of my problems. And when I don't necessarily see the answer to something clearly, she's really, really helpful, just helping me through things. And her advice is unparalleled, I think, and just in terms of anything that I ask her for. You know, she's just always got empathetic and, you know, logical advice for me. And she's definitely one, I'd say, for the inspiration.
Thank you, Leopold.
For me, it's actually two people. I think for me, it's my housemaster, Mr. Howard, who always tells me to try everything, take risks, enjoy myself, live house life, with our house motto, work hard, play hard. And also, I think my tutor, Mr. Thurlow, who gives me like constant support with UCAS applications and everything there is. So I think really those two people.
Great, good answers. Thank you both. I know you're going to have a chance to grill me in a moment, so I will leave you to mull on your questions, and I'm going to hand over now to Mr. Reid to talk a little bit about the academic curriculum in the sixth form.
Thank you very much. Good morning. My name is David Reid, and I'm head of sixth form here at Malvern. I'd like to echo the headmaster's welcome, and I thought it would be helpful to address some of the issues you might be considering whilst choosing a school. I'm going to try and share my screen, hopefully, and then show a quick PowerPoint, hopefully, on the top. So the sixth form at Malvern College, the key difference or characteristic of life at Malvern is that we offer both the A-levels and the International Baccalaureate. And in fact, we're pretty much unique in having almost a 50-50 split between the two. So it may be helpful here to help you with the decision of what to study for me to briefly discuss the differences between the two. So for A-level, there've been some upheaval over the last few years. This is now settled down and we're back to the system I studied in the 1980s. Okay, so A-level, it's fairly narrow, it's focused. It's good if you know what you want to do and you're happy to specialize. There's more flexibility in terms of subject choices, but you may have to give up subjects that you don't actually want to. Most of our pupils will choose 3 subjects to study and an enrichment option, but some will choose 4 subjects, either with the intention of dropping one partway through the 2 years or carrying 4 through to final examinations. If they choose further mathematics and mathematics, so 2 A-levels in mathematics, then they will always study 4. We offer 26 different A-level subjects at Malvern College. Okay, so quite an extensive list. In addition, as I said, to the 3 A-levels, our pupils pick an enrichment option. And the most popular enrichment options are the extended project qualification. And this really gives pupils a chance to do their own independent project. They are supported through it. But actually, for many of them, and we hear back afterwards, once they get into the world of work, this was probably the most useful thing they did at school, running their own project and encountering the difficulties of running a project. We also offer the AS Global Perspectives and a number of different mathematics qualifications to support students who choose not to do maths or do a bit of maths, but to do more maths into the 6th form. And then our languages department has an extensive option of private tuition languages they can do. The IB program is very much focused around its mission statement, and it's mission-led. And we often see in our IB students and our IB graduates how they've taken this mission to heart. Within the IB, you study 6 subjects, 3 at higher level and 3 at standard level. Each subject is graded from 1 at the lowest to 7 at the highest. And then in addition, the students study what's called the core, which is made up of CAS, which is creativity, activity and service, theory of knowledge and extended essay. The theory of knowledge and the extended essay together combine to make a total of 3 points, giving a total between the 6 subjects and the core requirement, a total of 45 points. The extended essay is a university style of piece of research writing, and universities really love that. And the theory of knowledge is, for some students I've met later in life, they say actually it was the most valuable thing they learned at school within the IB program, really thinking and studying about what is knowledge. Each year, approximately 150,000 students in the world sit the IB globally, and our average of 37 points, our 5-year average of 37 points, would place us 5th out of the UK schools with large cohorts, i.e. cohorts of more than 50 diploma students in a year. And each year, we will have 2 or 3 students who get the maximum of 45 points. Within the IB, you've got to pick 1 subject from group 1 and 1 from group 2. So 1 language, first language, 1 second language, or you can study 2 group 1 subjects, so English A and German A, and then get a bilingual diploma. Then students have to pick 1 subject from group 3 and 1 subject from group 4, or they can actually pick something called environmental systems and societies, which would count for both either group 3 or group 4, or actually both if they wanted to do additional languages. Then a student has to pick a group 5 mathematics subject. The traditional mathematics, which many of us studied when we were at school, would be along the analysis and approaches line, whereas there's a much newer maths course within the IB, applications and interpretations, which is all about how is mathematics used to support other subjects in the real world. So a lot of statistical study, a lot of interpreting what numbers mean in the real world. And then finally, students either study a group 6 subject, visual art, or they can pick 1 additional subject from the earlier group. So they could do a second group 4 science, or a second group 3 individuals and society, or an additional language to be studying 3 languages. How do you choose between A-level and IB? Well, they're both highly valued. A-level pupils tend to be those students who want to focus on fewer subjects or have a particular area of study that particularly interests them. Say, for instance, science. They want to do physics, chemistry, and biology, or they wish to do history, geography, and politics. So within a very narrow group area is their passion and love, and so then they would tend to pick A-level. The IB enables students to have a breadth of subjects. It keeps their options open for longer rather than narrowing down. And in addition, we feel it's easier to get the top grades for 7s and 6s in the IB than the A stars A's at A level, which when you're applying for universities, which give equal value to A levels and IB higher levels, we think gives IB students that slight edge. Although they have to study 6 subjects, so it might not suit all students. There is a compromise to be made there between the two. It's a very individual process, and I meet every student or one of my teams, and Mrs. Akehurst, the IB coordinator, to discuss what would suit your child and talk through with them what their love is and what they wish to do as part of the admissions process. As has already been discussed by Sophie and Leopold, the tutor-tutee relationship is very strong at Malvern College. And typically a tutor will have 10 tutees split over the lower 6th and upper 6th. They'll meet their tutees formally once a week as a tutor group meeting. They'll go into their boarding houses and have lunch with their tutees once a fortnight on our rotational system. And then they will meet them individually as and when the tutee wants to see them, pop in and see them, but definitely more formally every sort of 3 or so weeks to discuss their academic progress, their university applications, and again, encouraging them to take a fuller opportunity of college life that is available to them. Universities. Each year, one of our major focuses is university. And we have approximately 160 pupils in our school in each year group in the 6th form. The vast majority will be applying to UK universities, but many apply to international universities and many will do a joint application. So I point to both US and UK. And only a couple of years ago, we had a student who had an offer from Princeton and Cambridge and had to make the decision between the two. The success rate for our universities, UK universities, is high. 83% get into their first choice, 11% get into their second choice, and 69% went into the Russell Group universities, the sort of leading research-based universities in the UK, with Edinburgh, Exeter, and King's College London the most popular choices this year. Again, the international, we have many students looking at international universities, and this year we had students going to Columbia University, University of South California, and New York University. So in summary, that really is the 6th form. I really hope you get the opportunity to come and visit Malvern College and speak to some of our students over lunch, some of our 6th form students, and look at what they are looking at in the world, and come and talk to me about potential IB and 6th form options. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Reid. And so now we are going to hear from Mrs. Fiona Packham about house life, which is at the heart of life here at Malvern College. And she's just going to explain generally about the life, the community that takes place outside of the lessons, outside of the co-curricular activities. And so I'd like to hand over, if I may, to Mrs. Packham.
Thanks very much, Anna-Louise. I'm also going to now share my screen and hopefully show you some pictures of house life. So give me one moment and we'll see if I can fix this up ready for. Occasionally I do make a mistake, and hopefully, are you able to see my screen here now? Hopefully have you got some lovely pictures of boarding life.
Yes, we do, Mrs.
Thank
Packham.
you so much. So as Anne-Louise has said, my name's Fiona Packham, and as Sophie said, I'm her house mistress here in number 3. So every house at Malvern, you will find that, as you've heard from Leopold and Sophie, they've loved their time in their house. The house spirit is very, very strong. Each of the housemates, or housemaster, housemistress, the housem, they live in their house with their family. Almost every house has a dog as well, so we usually live here with our pets as well. And there's also an assistant or a deputy who lives in too. So there are staff who help to support us. And I live here actually with my dog Harry and my husband, who's head of drama, and also my assistant, who is called Miss C, who lives upstairs. The house spirit is exceptionally strong, and I would say that that is probably because the students eat in the house. And so there are many schools these days who don't do this anymore. A few of us still maintain it, and it's certainly something that at Malvern is absolutely huge for us and really engenders house spirit, makes it a real home from home. So the role of the housing is really to welcome, support, encourage, advise, communicate, help to problem solve, be there to help you if there's something that's gone wrong, perhaps to educate you in how to perhaps do something and get it right next time, give space to make mistakes. I think that's one of the great things that we do. We, just like in a family, you will advise someone, they might make a choice that might not be quite right, but you're there to pick up the pieces and just to put them back on track at the end of it too, because we are in loco parentis. When you're not here, we're there to take on that role for you. As I said, occasionally we are asked to, might have to admonish someone for something, but also give support and certainly absolutely share laughter. So you can see in the pictures of the slide that you've got here in front of you, that's actually our newly refurbished library. So each of the houses has had some sort of refurbishment relatively recently. So whether it's been new bathrooms in some of the houses, a full refurbishment, as has happened recently in 3 and 4, and I know number 5 has had some extensive work done. So each of the houses each year will have something done to basically enhance the fabric of the building and what's going on inside. And you can see other, as Sophie said, CCF is actually really important in our house. It's a group of girls who absolutely love it. And quite possibly that's brought on by Sophie's enjoyment of it all too, that comes and filters down. And there's an event in that bottom left, right hand corner. You can see that we had actually last weekend a sort of karaoke evening. So our new pupils, old and new, came together, whether they were sixth form or lower down the school, and we borrowed the theatre foyer from my husband for a little bit and had a great time just really bonding all together. Obviously, a housing role is quite busy and we're often on duty a lot of the time, but we do have a massive support network. So we have house staff, they're tutors who come in every evening, and they'll cover hall time, so that's prep time, giving us a little bit of time off, but also giving their students another voice to hear, another person to talk to, and often they might even help them with some prep. So there's a chance to, we have Mrs. Akehurst, who's the IB coordinator and also Spanish teacher, so she can help with certain things. We've got some sports teachers who obviously are helping with the biology side or the exercise psychology sorts of things too. So a lot of tutors are available in the evening to help out. We also have a very strong network of domestic staff who help keep the house clean and tidy, and they really do support the girls and also the staff. If they're worried about a girl or a pupil or one of the boys in the house, there's certainly domestic staff who will feed back to the house staff to say, I was concerned when I heard somebody seemed to be upset, and they'll pass that message back on. And I think both Leopold and Sophie would say that the catering staff are terribly important, and certainly in our house, our chef will often come to say to me, what would the girls like to eat today? Which dessert would they like? And we've got this for the main course, but I know they'd rather have this type of potato, so we've changed it to that. There really is a strong communication as well. And we get to really see what people are eating. And I think that's also a really important thing. So you get to really know the likes and dislikes. Those things are also really important when you have house events. House events can happen more and more now. It's wonderful to think that we'll be able to go back to having our house birthday suppers once a term when the students come onto the private side and share a meal with us. All of these things really do engender that house spirit and making it that home from home. But I would say that every house meal is basically a social event. So it's very exciting to see everyone at lunch. I have to admit, the noise in the dining room right at the moment is, this term is wonderful. There's so many new pupils are still settling in and we're all getting back to normal. In terms of the integration of new students, which obviously that's what you will all be looking at bringing to us this time next year, In each house, you'll have a buddy that's allocated to you. In our house, we have a sixth form buddy, but also someone who's alongside you in your year group. So those people are looking out for you right from day one. You'll also, as both Leopold and Sophie have said, you have your tutor who might be in touch with you about your academic interests and hold tutor meetings. There are also the chances to have the quizzes, our whole year group quizzes, or longy for the sixth form, which is sort of the sixth form bar. There'll be whole year group events that you might go to. We've got a house trip coming up in 2 weeks' time, where almost all of the house is going off to see James Bond. So that'll be a thrilling thing that at last the whole house is getting to go to the cinema. So there's regular communication as well to parents and guardians, regular trips and visits that we can take out. And obviously, as I said, the tutor meetings and house group activities. So that bottom right-hand one is the house football. In fact, that was a photo from the year before last, because it didn't happen quite as often as we would like in recent times, but we've just had it this year as well. And they've been activities, again, you can see the boys are having a pizza night. That's on actually, is it pizza? It might be nachos on the private side. And there's buddy break time. We have hot chocolate, where the girls who are new to the house or new to the school will also be mixing with their buddies. And that top left-hand corner is a trip to Cumlock. So the school has a very small but beautiful cottage in Wales, and students can go there. Basically, they sleep on these mattresses or camp outside, and it really is a time to put away your phone and just enjoy being with each other and communicating with each other and also with nature. So a great time is always had by all there. We would hope, obviously, that your buddies would have similar interests, and so it's nice to think that there's someone looking out for you. You might have an older student in the upper sixth who could be like an older brother or sister, and then someone who's alongside you in your year group who's usually been someone who is a student who's been there, been at Malvern for a little bit longer. In terms of the point of contact for parents, obviously admissions will be there to talk to you about the next stage of the process. Once you've been allocated a house, the housing will obviously contact you, and then the child's body will contact with them too. As everyone said already about the academic tutor for academic matters, but for the pastoral care, you would contact the housing and the house team. And I just want to talk about these other pictures here. So you've got, again, that's our new house common room, actually, which we're really proud of. And then in the bottom left-hand corner is the Christmas supper. So events in the house, you have these lovely events where you can have the whole house coming together, very special occasions, you know, sort of 65 of us all eating together in a wonderful atmosphere, and making sure that everyone feels really welcome. And as we've said so many times, part of a large community and a very big family. So you can see here, I've also talked about the going on house trips and things. And one thing that the lower sixth always do is a walk on the hills on the first day. So you can see that there is actually the science block. So that's my year 10 pupils with the science block in the background. And then the hills, we are literally right that close to them, which is a lovely thing to have. We've celebrated birthdays together. That's the one with the boys eating the pizza. Obviously, people have made it to the top of the hill, so that's another bonding opportunity for the new students alongside the ones who've been at Malvern for a while. They'll all do that walk, and believe me, then a strenuous activity. They really do get together and push each other along and support each other in that. I would say that we look to Malvern to be that time to educate your child, but also to allow them to enjoy their opportunities, to embrace everything that's out there. I believe that we leave our students with a very, very strong sense of their own character, but also they are ready to go out into the wider world. They have opinions on what is going to be the thing that is important to them. They absolutely create memories and friendships for life. And I think one thing I'd really like to say about the old Malvernian network, it stretches across the world, and it's called Malvern Connect, and it's tremendously important to our students and to our OMs. And it's another wonderful part of the fact that we have such a wide and diverse community. And for me, it's certainly a pleasure and a privilege to work here. And I absolutely love the job I do, and to be a part of these young people's lives as they grow and develop their personalities and interests. What I'd like to do now actually is ask some questions of Sophie and Leopold, if I may. So let's see if I can escape from here and unshare my screen, which I've now, hopefully have I stopped doing that now?
We can still see your screen. It may be at the top of the screen, perhaps.
Yeah, I thought I had, oh, there we go, yeah, red button. This is where I should have put my glasses on to talk to you. I couldn't see the little green button. So what I'd like to do is just ask a couple of questions to Leopold and Sophie. So Leopold, I know that you obviously started Malvern as a lower sixth student, so you were new to the lower sixth, and I wondered if you could just explain some of those things that I might have touched upon, but for you, what was that like, and who did actually help you settle in? What was put in place for you there?
Of course, well, you've already touched on this buddy system. So obviously in the first couple of weeks, I met real often with my buddy, and he often supported me and told me, okay, I should be open to everything and meet everyone. And then obviously everyone in my year, I can't stress that enough, everyone showed me where to go to for my lessons, what timings there are. Just the network of support that is in place is great. And obviously also my housemaster, Mr. Howard, who like on the first day helped me with everything, settle in. And it's just like this network that I think is at no other school, especially at the beginning. So you've got the support from the beginning to the end. So I think it's just a great opportunity.
That's wonderful, thank you. And Sophie, obviously a little bit different for you in that obviously Leopold is a student from overseas and a full boarder. And as being a day pupil, I wonder if you could explain to us how day pupils are helped to integrate, because that might be a real concern for someone who's considering a day place.
Yeah, of course. So the way Malvern is set up, which is different, I think, to quite a lot of boarding schools, is day pupils just mixed into the boarding houses. So there's no one day pupil house, which I know, for example, rugby, they have a day pupils house and all the boarders are in their own houses. But at Malvern, we're all integrated. So I'm just in a house with all the boarders, and you tend to, well, this is my experience, and I think this is the same for a lot of other day pupils too, that you just spend so much time at school that you don't even notice that you're missing out. Because I know that's, some people would be worried about just missing out on things, but because just Malvern makes it so easy to assimilate and just get stuck into everything. And if you have if you're required to do an activity that takes you late into the evening, like some drama rehearsals, for example, are quite late at night, or not quite late, they're just in the evenings. So the school offers day pupils to board for free if they're required to go to that activity. So it's really just so well facilitated, and yeah, everything is really, really well set up for integrated day pupils, I'd say. And I definitely have never felt like I've missed out on anything because of the fact that I don't board. So yeah. Thank
you very much. So Leopold, obviously joining the sixth form new, what would you say is your top tip? Perhaps one or two little bits of advice that you might say was the thing that was the key thing that you would offer to someone joining in September next year.
I think the key tip is to be open to everything, that they throw themselves into everything that is at offer at Malvern College. Join societies, join the CCF, maybe language club, do anything that is on offer. And I also think just be open yourself up to things you might have not tried, take risks, and I think then you'll have a great time at Malvern.
And thank you so much. And finally, to both of you, so perhaps start with Sophie first. What would you say to both of you, your favourite house memory? So to you, Sophie, first, within the house, what's been your favourite memory so far?
I really, really enjoyed actually doing house football this year, which it was a couple of weekends ago. It's sort of usually the first or second Sunday back the girls' house football tournament is. And I remember, the first time, because we missed it last year, but the year before that was when I could have, the first time where I thought about doing it, and I ended up deciding not to, and it was just such a regret. I was like, the whole of the week afterwards, after everyone was like talking about it, I was like, oh, I so should have done that. That's, I really, really shouldn't have skipped out on that. And then getting to do it this year was just so amazing, because it was definitely something I've been waiting to come back into. And it's just, participating in any house competitions is really, really good fun, but particularly for me, because I'm quite big on sport, the football was a really, really good one. It was good fun.
Thank you. And Leopold, what about you? What's been your greatest house memory so far?
I think for me, excuse me, it was on a Saturday evening where our housemaster gave us like chips, and we had a great discussion and a really good talk about everything in life. It was just so much fun. Everyone thoroughly enjoyed themselves, and always like my favorite memory. Yeah, and maybe also the house paintball from last weekend. I really enjoyed that as well. To maybe also shoot the housemaster also feels good sometimes, but yeah, it's just, I feel like there's so many opportunities you can do as a house. So I feel like there's not a single great memory you have. There's so many great memories.
That's wonderful to hear from you both. Thank you so much. And I think what obviously I would say to you both is that obviously this year we'll have so much more to look forward to. There was a lot that went on last year. There were some things, as Sophie said, that we missed out on. But this year, I think you're going to really see just exactly what else there is for you to do. And I hope, Leopold, you get to enjoy the things that Sophie's been able to do in her younger years here. And you'll see the true potential of everything that there is at Malvern. Thank you very much. I'll hand back to Mr. Metcalfe now.
Thank you very much. Actually, I think we're handing over to Leopold and Sophie, aren't we?
Yes, so it's me and Leopold, and I'm going to ask Mr. Metcalfe a couple of questions. So I'm up first, and I would like to say, I hope you had a good summer break after a long year at school, sir. And I was wondering if you managed to read any good books over the holidays, and if you have any recommendations reading-wise for us.
I'm hoping this is because you've been listening in my assemblies, and I normally start the term with saying, right, what I've been reading over the holidays. So yeah, I've been reading. I love reading. I think it's so important that we're reading. I don't mind what people read. I think it's just great reading. So yeah, good question. Favorite book recently, A Gentleman in Moscow, recommended to me by the librarian's husband, I think it was. Amor Towles wrote that one. So that was the favorite. Most useful book, I think, probably The Culture Map. I was given this, and it talks all about how to communicate and lead teams from different cultures, from different backgrounds. We all hear and understand things differently depending upon how we've been brought up. So that's been really useful. I'm still learning. And then probably Holiday by the Beach was a bit of Robert Harris, some historic novels, a bit of education, possibly about Cicero, times of Cicero around Rome. But also quite a lot of fiction as well, I think, involved. So yeah, good fun in that. Yeah, good holiday. Thank you.
Also, how important for you is to balance between the academic side of college life and everything else that takes place here, so such as co-curricular and super-curricular activities?
Yeah, well, I'm hoping it's sort of come out through the questions and presentations we've done so far. At heart, we are an academic school, and we are determined to make sure we help you, the students, get the grades, the qualifications that you need to get to university, to top universities, but also into careers beyond. So we do have a focus on that core curriculum. But around that, we have all the super curriculum, all those academic enrichment programs, the co-curricular program, because in the end, once you've got those qualifications, once you've got the foot in the door, you need all those other skills that are actually going to determine how successful you are, how fulfilled you are, that are going to broaden your horizons in those areas. So there's a really important area from our point of view that we are intentionally providing and educating and helping support you develop those things, but underpinned by very much what Mrs. Packham was saying about the house. We've got to make sure you're happy, that you're healthy, and then you're able to thrive in all those other areas. You're free to, as you say, try those things, to take the risks, because actually you know that the support network is there. So it is balanced, and I think the difference between us and many other schools who'll do brilliantly on that core curriculum is the opportunity to develop the holistic approach to the whole person.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to ask, what kind of student do we look for at Malvern, and who do you think would do well at the school?
Well, dare I say it, people like you, I've loved hearing your answers and the way that you've approached things. You clearly give things 100%. Maybe that's why you were asked to join the conference. I'm sure all pupils like that are at Malvern, but we are, although we're not an academic hothouse and we have a broad church of pupils coming in, we do want to make sure pupils will be able to access the A level and the IB. They are not easy. I know everyone's sort of trying to get these top scores, but as long as you're able to facilitate access those, then we're happy to consider you. But more importantly, and there's a lot of research that shows this, the type of attitude you have towards your work and to other things is probably more important. So your work ethic, your willingness to get stuck in, both to the super curriculum, the co-curriculum, committing to the house, to building strong relationships, are really just as important, because there's lots of opportunities here, but you're only going to benefit if you get stuck in and make the most of those opportunities. And through that, you will gain the opportunity to develop skills, to get that inner confidence that you can make a positive difference to the world outside school. So that's what we're really looking for. Pupils who've got that sort of attitude, who want to grasp those opportunities and make the very most of them.
And also, sir, as headmaster, what do the Malvern qualities mean to you?
Yes, I mean, I don't know, Leopold, if you know them all yet. There are 11 of them. Can you quote them? What I love about them is that they are about those inner values, those wider skills, the attitude. So they give you that opportunity to broaden the way that you approach things. Yes, qualifications are key, as I said, but actually it's those other things that will determine that. Well, I think probably the thing that spoke to me most was a couple of years ago, we did the pupils did a Malvern to Paris trip by Human Power, and the newspapers and the media picked up all about paddleboarding across the channel. And yet when the pupils then talked about it in chapel to talk about their reflections, they didn't focus on that at all. That was the easy bit. It was all done for them. It was all risk assessed, and everything was catered for because it was so risky. What they did was, it was all about the other stuff, the logistics, what they had to learn about organization, about keeping the team going, collaboration, leadership, building each other up, being self-aware, being kind to the rest of the team. And it was those Malvern qualities that said, actually, that's what they've really learned from that experience. Yes, you can get the showy stuff, but actually what's making that inner person is really important. And a benefit of having 11 is that there's always something more that you can do. It's like life. There's always something else you can work on. You might nail one or two things, but there's something else that you can focus on too.
My last question for you, sir, is what has been the path that brought you to Malvern College, and what do you think you would have been if not a teacher and headmaster?
Oh yeah, okay, good question.